Have you ever looked at someone wildly successful and thought, what's their secret? Maybe you've even said to yourself, if I had their money, I'd have no problems. That's fair, we've all had that thought at some point. But here's something most people don't talk about. The truly wealthy, the ones who stay rich and fulfilled, don't just value money. They value time, often far more than they value their bank balance. And once you understand why, it can change the way you live your life starting today. Think about it. Money is something you can earn, spend, and even lose, and still get back. But time? Once it's gone forever. You can't buy more hours in the day, no matter how rich you are. The clock doesn't care how successful or broke you are. That's exactly why millionaires, and especially self-made ones, are obsessed with how they spend their time. They treat time like it's their most sacred currency. And honestly, so should you. Now I know what you might be thinking. That's easy for someone with millions to say. They have the luxury of time. I'm still grinding just to make ends meet. And that's valid. But here's the twist, most millionaires didn't start with wealth. They got rich because they mastered their time. They learned how to stop trading their hours for pennies and started investing their time like a boss. So today, we're diving deep into this mindset, and I promise, once you get it, it'll feel like you just unlocked cheat codes for your life. Let me ask you this, how often do you find yourself doing things that drain your energy, waste your day, and leave you feeling stuck? Scrolling endlessly through social media, saying yes to things you don't want to do, doing work you hate just to survive another month. We've all been there. But that's where the shift starts. Millionaires protect their time like their life depends on it, because it kinda does. They don't say yes to everything. They don't get caught in other people's drama. They don't multitask themselves into burnout. They prioritize, delegate, automate, and eliminate. They know exactly what their time is worth, and they make sure they're always spending it on the highest value things, whether it's building their business, investing in relationships, learning new skills, or just resting strategically to come back stronger. You see, one of the first lessons the wealthy learn is this: if you don't control your time, someone else will. Your boss. Your schedule. Your social media feed. Your habits. Your past. Something will take the driver's seat unless you take the wheel. And when that happens, you are no longer living life, you're reacting to it. This is why self-made millionaires are obsessed with calendars, routines, and habits. Not because they're robots, but because they've realized that success isn't about doing more, it's about doing the right things with the limited time they have. They batch their tasks. They set non-negotiable boundaries. They make decisions fast because they don't want to waste mental energy on things that don't matter. And over time, all those little choices add up to big results. Now here's the good news, you don't need to be rich to think this way. You don't need a fancy assistant or a perfect life to start valuing your time. You just need to start paying attention. Because every minute you spend without intention is a minute you can't get back. And when you add those up over a week, a month, a year, that's your life slipping by. So how do you flip the script? You start by becoming brutally honest about where your time is going. Track your days for a week. Not in a judgmental way, but just notice. How much time are you spending on things that truly move you forward? How much are you losing to distractions, obligations, or habits that don't serve you? Once you see that clearly, you can make better choices. Not overnight, but step by step. Maybe it means waking up 30 minutes earlier to work on your dream. Maybe it's saying no to that event you don't care about. Maybe it's outsourcing something small, like grocery shopping or cleaning, so you can use that time to grow, rest, or connect. Because millionaires don't just buy things. They buy back their time. They're constantly looking at how to exchange money for freedom, not the other way around. And here's the thing that surprises a lot of people, millionaires aren't always busy. They're not grinding 24/7. In fact, many of them have more free time than the average person because they've built systems that work for them. Passive income, teams, automation. But those things only came after they learned to protect their time fiercely and use it wisely. This is also why they invest in themselves so heavily. Books, mentors, courses, coaches. Not because they're trying to flex their money, but because they know that the right idea, the right mindset, the right perspective, picked up in a single hour, can save them years of wasted effort. That's a return on time. And it's priceless. You can start small. You don't have to overhaul your life in one go. But just knowing your time is your most valuable asset will already start changing how you make decisions. You'll begin to pause before saying yes to that favor you don't have time for. You'll think twice before falling into that Netflix spiral. You'll start asking yourself, is this moving me toward the life I want or pulling me away from it? And that one question can shift everything. When you start seeing time as your most limited and precious asset, your entire approach to life changes. You stop chasing every opportunity, and instead, you start selecting the right ones. That's another trait you'll see in millionaires. They're not just working constantly or taking every deal that comes their way. In fact, they say no more than they say yes. Why? Because every yes has a cost. It's not just about the money, it's about the time, energy, and mental space it requires. And if it doesn't align with their bigger vision, they're willing to walk away without hesitation. That's not arrogance. That's clarity. That's alignment. And it's one of the biggest reasons why millionaires continue to grow, not just their wealth, but their peace of mind, their relationships, and their personal power. But let's bring this back to you, right now. What would happen if you started treating your time like a millionaire does? Not someday when you hit a financial goal, but today, with what you have, where you are. What would change if you stopped feeling guilty for setting boundaries, or taking time for yourself, or walking away from things that no longer serve you? Maybe you'd finally start that side hustle that's been sitting in the back of your mind. Maybe you'd invest more time into your health or into a skill that opens new doors. Maybe you'd finally feel in control again, like you're driving your life forward instead of getting pulled in every direction. And the beauty of this shift is that it doesn't require anyone's permission. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take one small step. Start asking, is this the best use of my time? Ask it every day. Ask it when you're about to scroll, when you're about to say yes to something out of obligation, when you're about to procrastinate on something important. That one question is like a compass. It gently points you back to your path, back to your priorities. And yes, this takes practice. You'll slip up. We all do. But the more you value your time, the more you'll notice when you're wasting it. Not in a harsh, self-critical way, but with awareness. With intention. That's how growth happens, not through perfection, but through presence. One of the most powerful tools millionaires use to guard their time is leverage. They don't try to do everything themselves. They build systems. They hire people. They create content that works for them even when they're not around. That's how they turn their hours into assets, because they're always asking, how can I multiply the value of my time? You can do this, too. Even if you're not at that level yet, you can begin building leverage into your life. Automate your bills. Batch your errands. Set weekly themes for your time. Maybe Mondays are for planning, Tuesdays for creation, Wednesdays for outreach. This kind of structure frees up mental space and allows you to operate with more calm, more clarity, and more consistency. But even deeper than that, valuing time is about respecting yourself. It's about recognizing that you deserve to live a life that isn't rushed, reactive, or constantly overwhelmed. You deserve a life where there's room to breathe, room to grow, room to enjoy what you're building. Because what's the point of success if you're too exhausted to experience it? And this isn't just about you. When you respect your time, you inspire others to do the same. Your kids notice. Your friends feel it. Your coworkers sense it. You become a person who sets a standard, not just for productivity, but for purpose. You give others permission to take their lives seriously, too. That's how influence spreads. That's how legacies are built, not just by what you do, but by how you live. Now, I want to remind you of something important. It's okay to rest. Rest is not a waste of time, it's a strategic use of it. Millionaires schedule rest on purpose. They vacation, they unplug, they protect their mental health like their life depends on it, because it does. Burnout doesn't just kill momentum, it kills creativity, clarity, and connection. And those things? Those are the real drivers of wealth. So yes, hustle when it matters. Show up with intention. Work with focus. But also slow down enough to appreciate what you're building. Reflect on what's working. Celebrate the small wins. Because in the end, it's not about packing your schedule, it's about filling your life with moments that matter. If you've made it this far, I want you to know, you already have what it takes to live like the top 1%. Not because of what's in your bank account, but because you're willing to think differently. You're willing to challenge old patterns. You're willing to make choices today that your future self will thank you for. So start now. Start valuing your time in the way you wish the world would value you. Start honoring your minutes like they matter, because they do. Start building a life where time isn't slipping through your fingers, but working in your favor. Bit by bit, hour by hour, you'll start to feel it. That shift. That momentum. That sense of control. And if this message hit home for you, take a second to share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're planning to protect your time, or what habits you're ready to let go of. Your story might just inspire someone else to make a powerful change, too. Don't forget to like the video if this gave you a new perspective, and subscribe to the channel if you want more real, grounded motivation to help you level up in life. We're building a community of people who aren't just chasing success, they're living it with intention. Here's to using your time wisely, to choosing what matters most, and to building a life that feels just as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. You've got this. And I'll see you in the next one. Now, once you've started looking at time as your most valuable currency, everything else starts to click into place. Your priorities shift. The urgency you used to feel about money starts to calm down, and you begin to realize something powerful. When you protect your time, you start building the foundation for real wealth, not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. Millionaires understand this deeply, which is why they're ruthless when it comes to distractions. Not because they're antisocial or selfish, but because they know that every yes to something unimportant is a no to something meaningful. They're not just managing time, they're designing their lives around what matters most. And that brings us to a huge shift in thinking, one that can seriously transform the way you live day to day. Most people spend their lives reacting to time, trying to squeeze in what they can, rushing from one task to the next, feeling like they never have enough hours. But millionaires? They act from a place of clarity. They don't squeeze things in, they build space around what they value most. Think about that for a second. What would your day look like if it was centered around what fuels you, instead of what drains you? What if you scheduled your priorities instead of just prioritizing your schedule? That's not just time management. That's lifestyle design. And that's what separates people who just survive from those who thrive. Let's get real for a moment. How many times have you caught yourself saying, "I don't have time," when really, it's not about time, it's about what you're choosing to focus on? The truth is, we all have the same 24 hours. Oprah has 24. Elon Musk has 24. You and I? Same deal. The difference isn't the number of hours, it's how we spend them. And once you start seeing your hours as investments instead of obligations, your mindset completely changes. You start thinking, if I spend an hour on this, what am I getting back? Is it growth? Peace of mind? Joy? Energy? Or is it stress, regret, or a hangover of wasted time that you'll carry into tomorrow? Because every choice compounds. That's the secret sauce behind wealth building too, compounding. But here, it's not just money that compounds. Your decisions, your focus, your habits, they build momentum. That's why millionaires don't just plan their days, they own them. They guard their mornings. They give themselves time to think, reflect, plan. And when they work, they're intentional. They don't multitask themselves into madness. They block time, go deep, get it done, and then move on. Because they understand the hidden cost of distraction. 1 lost hour here, 2 hours of unfocused effort there, that adds up to weeks, even months of lost opportunity over time. And don't be fooled, this isn't about being a productivity robot. It's about creating more freedom, more fulfillment, more life. When you value your time, you start carving out space for the things that actually light you up. Quality time with family. Deep conversations. Creative flow. Rest that actually restores you, not just numbing out on the couch. Millionaires protect their peace as much as they protect their profits. They know that burnout isn't a badge of honor, it's a warning sign. They've learned that saying no is often the most powerful form of self-care. And not just to other people's demands, but to their own old habits. The late-night scrolling. The toxic comparison. The busy work that feels productive but goes nowhere. When they make a choice, it's not just about what do I have to do today. It's what's the highest use of my time right now. That question changes everything. It helps you focus on what truly moves the needle, whether that's one bold business move or one quiet hour of self-reflection. Both matter. Both require time. But only one leads to real growth if you're doing it from a place of clarity. And here's something that might surprise you. A lot of wealthy people are actually really good at doing nothing, on purpose. They take time to disconnect. To walk. To think. To be. Because they understand that creativity, big ideas, and deep insight don't usually show up when you're stuck in a rush. They show up in the stillness. And that stillness only comes when you've created room for it. You don't need millions in the bank to start living this way. You just need the willingness to be intentional. Start with 15 minutes a day. Block it off and use it for something that nourishes you. Read. Plan. Meditate. Reflect. That small act sends a message, not just to your brain, but to your entire life, that your time is yours. That you're choosing how to spend it. And when that becomes a habit, everything else starts to shift. Relationships improve because you're present. Your work improves because you're focused. Your confidence grows because you're living by design, not default. And when you do that long enough, success doesn't feel like something you chase, it starts to feel like something you attract. That's the real millionaire mindset. Not just working harder, but working smarter. Not just chasing money, but building a life where money flows through the time and energy you've protected. You become the kind of person who doesn't need to beg for opportunities. Opportunities start showing up because you've created the space for them to land. That shift, from busy to intentional, from scattered to focused, is what takes people from stuck to unstoppable. Not overnight, but over time. And it all starts with the decision to treat time like gold. Actually, no, like something even more rare than gold. Because gold can be replaced. Time? That's the one thing you'll never get back.